Hey Kyo, it's Emilce Grigueta, and who are we here with today?
You're here with Dr. Evans.
How did you start your education career?
Well, I started as a teacher in a special program in what was then a junior high school before they changed to middle schools.
How long have you worked for MCPS?
Over 40 years, actually.
How will you apply what you learned at Magruder High School to Quince Orchard High School?
Well, actually, that's a very specific question. But what I learned at Magruder High School, I actually knew before I got there, and just what I was able to do, I guess, to expand because it was a different situation. But the most important thing that I gained from Magruder High School and from other experiences was that students are most important. And the best way to establish a meaningful relationship with students is to be slow to speak and quick to listen, to value what they say, and to let them know that you appreciate them as individuals.
Why did you decide to come back from retirement to act as the acting principal at Quince Orchard High School?
Well, there are a number of reasons. The first and foremost reason is because they asked me. Okay, so that sounds kind of crazy, but they asked that I come back here. I was actually headed to go to another school, an elementary school, but they felt that I could be more valuable and useful to come back to QO. The second reason is that I've known Ms. Thomas for a long time, and I've always admired her as a person. I admired her work. I knew how much she really cared about Quince Orchard High School, the students, the staff, the community, and the mission that she has established. So I felt that coming in and supporting her and her work of continuing that was a very important thing. So there was a great deal of mutual admiration that we had for one another. And so it was just almost a natural.
What do you plan to add to QO?
Well, outside of what I hope will be an engaging personality, some wisdom, but more importantly, to continue the excellent work in education that was established here. I don't think you come in and you're making any changes, especially where there's been a great deal of success. And there has been a great deal of success. Ms. Thomas and a number of members of the staff have really put in a lot of work to make this a very successful place, to create a community of caring, to gain the trust of the students and the community. So I don't think you come in and make any change, and you can add to that and you can enhance things. But changes, I don't think you come in and you do that.
How has the education system changed since your retirement?
That's a really good question. I don't think the educational system has changed. I think by and large, the educational system is set up the way it's been for a long time. But I think what's really important to answering this question is that the challenges have changed. And not exponentially, but the challenges have changed, and they continue to change when we look at how do we best meet the needs of students in an ever-changing, demanding society. So I don't know that what we do in education has changed so much. I think it should. I think there's a greater need for students to be able to expand their horizons. I don't think the traditional high school setting meets the needs of all students. Matter of fact, I'm sure it does not. But I think it's really very important that we look at those things, because we've been doing the same thing for a long time, and I don't think it's met the needs of all of the students. So I don't think it's changed. I think some of it needs to change, but the challenges are demanding that. My hope is that there's been an increase in the sensitivity to the needs of students and the sensitivity of staff and the challenges that parents face raising kids in the society that we have. My hope is that we will change how we do education and instruction that will have a greater sensitivity to those needs.
Lastly, what was your most memorable moment with the student?
With a student?
Yeah, with the student.
That's an incredible question. That I've had so many, because I've always had a focus on the students. And that's probably, to be very honest with you, answering the earlier question, that not having that contact with students is probably the reason why I did come back, and while I have been back, because I think that maybe I wasn't honest with myself when I retired. So there have been so many memorable moments, but I can tell you from the last moment that was really most memorable. When I was asked after I retired to go back to Magruder High School to be their commencement speaker at the graduation last year, I had a thought that this was it, and I wasn't going to be as engaged or involved at that level again. Sure, I would attend some events, some sporting events, some things like that, perhaps a play, without the level of involvement. But when I went back as the graduation speaker, and of course for many years, I was on that stage, but as either an assistant principal or a principal. But as the commencement speaker, I thought was quite an honor. But what's most touching was the reason why. They told the current principal, or asked his permission to have me come back, because they never got a chance to say goodbye. That was on me. I never took the time to address. So the seniors, whom I've had experiences with for a while, since they were ninth graders, and even before then, when I went to their middle schools to engage them and to be as part of certain programs. So it was a lot of years that I spent with them, and I never really addressed them, and that was particularly important to seniors. So when they asked me to come back, it was kind of an emotional thing. Then, in what we call the green room, that's when the honored guests and administrators are in the back preparing for graduation. They presented me with an award. And that award was an award that I had been giving to staff for a number of years. And I would give them an award, but I would give them a book. And the book was called A Message to Garcia. And it's a 100-year-old book, but it was about a captain, I think in the Spanish-American War. And this was a person that never really questioned what it is you wanted him to do, why you wanted him to do it. He would just do it, okay? And so I gave that out to staff who I really felt was so committed and dedicated to serving students and to education and instruction. So it was a great thing to be able to do that. And it was done in such an unselfish way, so that's why they received the award. But it was very touching to me and very memorable that that's the way those seniors thought of me. Because they thought that I was at every event. I mean, the students thought that I was at every event. I was at many, but I wasn't at every. It appeared that way. But they knew they could always speak to me. They knew that they were most important in my work as an educator, and that I always put them first. So they thought that I deserved this award. And to be very honest with you, it was more emotional, when they say that, well, principals don't ever cry. That's not true. I did, okay? That was the most memorable, most emotional, because I thought about this work And when I started out in administration, one of the secretaries at the school where I started, which was E. Brook Lee Middle School at the time, which is now Odessa Shannon, she gave me a news article. And the gist of it was that this person just wanted to make a difference in the life of a child. So that was my motto. That's what led me through administration. I simply wanted to make a difference in the life of a child. So when these young people, not children, kind of gave me an affirmation that this is what it was about and this is what I did, that was very memorable. And whenever I think about it, that was the most important time. But as a parent, teacher, the other memorable time was when my oldest daughter wrote an 11th grade essay about her hero. And her English teacher sent that to me, the draft copy, and she said that I was her hero. So those two things were my most memorable moments as a parent, teacher, and as a principal in my final hours that they would not forget. So they left me with something that I'll never forget. So coming back here, I carry those moments, and I've had some memorable moments here in just a brief period of time.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, and thank you.